Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Columbia's Cheese. Meet the maker in a Zoom cellar. My name's Adam Moskowitz. I'm the owner of Columbia Cheese. Columbia Cheese is an importer of fantastic cheeses from the EU. Today, we're going to be focusing on Germany. I am very, very, very pleased to introduce my business partner, Norbert, and cheesemaker Albert. As well as we have some other amazing cheese friends here on the Zoom. I guess the smart thing to do is start with the elephant in the room being COVID. So Norbert and Albert, if you can, tell us a little bit about how COVID is affecting you in Germany, if you may.
Yeah, I think Germany at the moment, so we are around about 2 weeks before you guys. When I see the numbers, when I see what happened in the United States, when I follow the news, if you look on Europe, I think it's better to make one sentence about Europe. There is some parts of Europe are getting really problems, like Italy and Spain. It's probably about the Chinese workers in Italy. Probably can be there since beginning of January. Nobody knows, and this gives an answer of the penetration. So we here in Germany, I think we are fine at the moment. Our hospitals are not overwhelmed. They have still everything under control. Everybody, there is nobody who don't get any medical support they need. So when people are dying, they're dying because there is no other way, but not about having not all the infrastructure. And this is where we are very proud about that.
What about like stay in place, social distancing, things like that?
Yeah, I think it's the same like all over. We are not locked down 100%, but we are able to only go 2 people together, and they have to be from the same family. So they don't want to have the cross contamination. So for example, I'm not able to meet my mom, so because we are not living in the same house. So there are some rules that we should wear masks, but it's not a must, it's not a law. So I think it's the same rules. Everybody in the world at the moment act to pretend other people to bring down the hockey stick down of the virus contaminating the others. So I think it's all over the world the same thing. Next Monday we start to reopen shops. They are smaller than 800 square meters. I think in 2 weeks the children go back to school, but not all of them. Only that one who have an exam in May. So I think Germany wants to have the step by step going back to the normal life. Yeah.
Interesting. Albert, where do you live in relation, like tell us a bit about where you live, and has COVID affected your daily life?
In my city, it's a very small city, and we have not the big problem with this in the big city. The big city, the people have not so much room. We have a big room. We have not this problems.
So is it safe to say that in some respects, like life hasn't like really changed that much for you?
And I want to give an answer about, because you know, Adam, that also my office is in the dairy. We have definitely plans getting from the government. For example, not all employees have to be at the same time at the dairy. So that means there's a group working in the morning and there's a group working in the afternoon. So that means when for example, somebody get infected in the morning group, so the morning group has to stay at home, but the afternoon group can still work. So you see, you have to split your workers from morning to noon and noon to afternoon to get still the business running. Otherwise, all the people have to stay at home and you cannot make cheese.
Got it. And there's been no reports, you've had no cases of sickness so far?
No. No.
Fantastic.
We
Cool.
are
So-
splitting the people. We are splitting the people.
Yeah, we split the people to work.
That's great news. That's great news. So let's just jump in a bit and learn a bit more about Albert. Albert, where did you first start making cheese? And how long have you been making cheese?
Yeah, I started at 1989 in a small dairy, in a really small dairy, and we make Ramatur and Backsteiner.
The good
Nice.
stuff.
The good stuff.
Yeah.
And has your family been in the cheese business or the dairy business for a long time?
My family, it's a farmer. My dad is a farmer.
And what about his dad?
And I have a brother, and my brother make now the farmer. And I looked for another work.
Because they didn't have room for you on the farm? Did you is it only one of you could be the farmer? Like what made you decide that you want to be a cheesemaker? What was the moment? What was the feeling?
What is the moment? my grandmother have said you can make a cheesemaker or a cook. Norbert, was heißt eigentlich? A chef.
Yeah.
You have all days warm and all days to eat.
Ha!
Hey, I was 15 years old, and then I go to a dairy for education.
Oh, for a practicum.
Yeah, for practicum.
And what is the feeling that you have about being a cheesemaker? Do you like the job?
Yeah, I started in a dairy, and this dairy make milk powder and coffee creamy.
Cream.
And
Cream.
I work in this dairy 4 years, and make an education in this dairy. And then I have said that it's an industry that is not for me. I will make a handmade work.
Yeah, artisan
Work
work.
with my hand. And then I say, okay, I go to another dairy in a small cheese preparation and look what this is for work.
Why? Tell me, can you explain why you had this feeling about being with your hands? Like, what was it for? Why did you want to work with your hands?
Yeah, it's in the dairy, you work with machines, with technical.
Yeah.
And when you go in a small cheese preparation, you must taste the cheese. You can play with the milk.
Aha.
And that is my life. I will work with the milk. I will feeling all day you have another milk, and then you can make this cheese and you can make this cheese. You have a bigger place for a plate.
Got it. So when we first met, what cheese were you making? How much cheese were you making? Because you were in a different dairy than you're in now. So tell me a little bit about the old dairy.
Yeah, and the old dairy I can make one cheese, and I have production only the Alex. And now in the new production I can make more cheese. I can make the Alp Blossom. I can make the Chili Boga. I can make the Alex, the Lisa. This is my life. I can more play with the milk. I can not all days the same production.
What was the inspiration behind Alex? How long have you made Alex? And what was the feeling behind Alex?
I started my company for 20 years. And I have seen all people make the same mountain cheese. And the mountain cheese in Bavaria, it's not the flavor what I will. And then I have said, okay, I will a little bit play with the with the texture, with the water Gehalt inside from the cheese.
Water content.
Yeah, and then I have okay, we make another cheese. I will not make a mountain cheese, but I will not make an Appenzeller, a Swiss cheese, but I will make a special cheese from Ebersbach. And then I have a long time I have need for this cheese. But now I can say, yes, that is my cheese. That is my personal
signature. Yeah.
Signature, right?
What was the flavor that you wanted to achieve, and what decisions did you make to make Alex different and special? How is Alex different than the other cheeses from your region?
Norbert, der Unterschied, oder?
Ja, was erwartest du von einem Käse oder warum schmeckt er heute so und was macht ihn anders? Ja.
So, I will make a hard or a semi-hard cheese who have make a flour taste. I will make a cheese with it's not too hard. It's soft. It's creamy.
Creamy.
It's creamy. Sorry, it's creamy. And I will make a cheese who can eat a children and a man.
Yeah.
It's a cheese for the family. He have a good taste. It's not too strong for a children. It's not too soft for a man.
What made you decide about the form? The size of the cheese is different, and what you do to the rind is different. What were those choices?
Yes, I have a special mold for my cheese. It's a Fontal form. It's
Fontal?
a concave.
Yep.
And I'm the only producer in Germany with this forms. And this is the same. I will not a standard cheese. I will make a cheese. I can see my cheese in all we can
places.
The case.
Places.
You wanted.
Yeah.
You wanted.
Yeah. And my cheese, the Alex cheese, when it's 6, 7, 8 months old, I wash it with a brand from Hoy. We branded a Hoy, and we make it a powder, and we give it overside from the cheese. And then we have a little brown or black brand. It's a eye catcher.
So it feels very deliberate. I'm fascinated by this your decisions, because it seems like many people want to do what they've always done, what they know to be done, what is typical from a region. Where you want to, it sounds like you wanted to innovate, you wanted to differentiate. Where did that feeling come from? It seems very unique or special for where you come from. And I don't know if I'm even asking a question, so feel free if anybody else wants to interject. I find it fascinating that you wanted a mold like nobody else, and a color like nobody else, and a flavor like nobody else. And it seems very different in psychology than what is typical from the region, because most people want to just do the same. Were you always interested in being different, or are you like, was it like, I don't know, what is it like?
And if I can jump in for a second, were you always thinking about the export market? I mean, if you were going to just sell in your local market, it's okay to just do the best version of the local cheese. Were you already thinking about selling other places, or was it always just about your own dairy store?
Norbert?
Okay. I think you jumped in. I jump in also. So and this will answer your question, Jonathan. So and Adam's here as well. So the big question is how I get the first contact to Albert. So because I'm the cheese exporter for German Austrian cheese, for Columbia cheese. So that means all the others, they're very traditional cheese making. They are good in what they are making, but they make it for 1,000 years. Probably every 50 years they change the tools in the dairy. They buy a new press. They go probably from a 80 kilo, which is a 200-pound Emmentaler, down to a 80-pound Bergkäse, down to a whatever. But Albert was from the beginning. So by the way, I met him first 2015. He was from the beginning different. So first of all, so that means he gave me a piece of cheese for Cheese Berlin. This is a slow food festival in the capital, German capital. And the funny thing is, this was not he could give me only a wheel, but this was the topic for the whole Cheese Berlin. Everybody asked me, what the fuck is that? Where do you have it? Can you sell it? Is that the new dairy you have? So this was really, really a highlight for the Berlin cheese world. So, but on the other hand, and this is also Albert, he says, oh, it's nice that my cheese have had so much success, but I don't have enough. So you see, he is somebody who plays around, who look for his market. He's open to do more than only his local shop, his dairy shop. He do more than delivering to markets in the Allgäu. He do more than supplying somebody in the south of Germany. So he is somebody who not wants to do it by himself, but who really looks for partners who are doing that. Did that answer your questions?
How did the two of you meet?
There's another guy who his name is Rupert. So he is a good friend of mine before, and he's a good friend of him. So that means this guy brought us together, and this was the beginning of what we are doing now. And coming back to 2015, take this cheese to Berlin. Having not enough, we started with a couple of wheels, and then 2016 we sit together. He explains me, Norbert, I want to build a dairy. I want to invest in a very, very big thing, and you guys who has been at the dairy, you know, it's big, it's huge in terms of the Allgäu. So in terms of, not of in the big industry, but for a family driven company. And this was a handshake in August 2016. By the way, also together with Arturo at this time, a handshake to do something different. And this was the time, end of 16, beginning of 17, when I come to Jonathan, or you, Adam, to tell you guys the news that things are changing in terms of exporting, and things are changing in consolidating, or prefer, it's a preferation for sure, prefer one dairy, but again, without losing the others. And this is also very important for me as an exporter. I still want to have my Tiny Blossom. I still want to have Bachensteiner. I still want to have Backsteiner. It's very important for me to tell the whole story. And this is what Albert agreed from the beginning. Yes, together with Arturo, yes, let's do that. So it's more than his cheese, but for sure the most output of my cheese export is from him, and this is what we want to achieve. Yes.
Nice. So you know, you use the words huge, and in fact, it's not huge in the actual scope of cheese production. So let's actually give it some clarity. When did the new dairy open, and what's the size in terms of production from the old dairy to the new dairy?
Albert?
We started a new production in 98. No, the 28
18,
on November.
18.
Yeah.
Yes.
18. And we started with the Alex, and then we production the Thought Blossom. And we can make three difficult cheeses. We can make the Alex in the Alex form. We can make the Thought Blossom, and now we can make the Chili Boga.
So let's take a step back. How much cheese, how many wheels were you making in the old dairy, and how many wheels can you now make in this new dairy?
In the old dairy, I make 24 Alex, only 24 Alex.
Per day, per week, per month?
Per day. But
okay.
Now I can make 24 Alex, and I can make 48 Blossom or 48 Cherry Boga. And when we need more Blossom, I can make two batches in one day.
Fantastic. So let's talk about Blossom. Norbert, tell us about the history of Blossom. Let's go through the short, long story of what Blossom is and has become.
Yeah, for sure. I think to be mentioned, there is a person who influenced us a lot about this cheese, but she retired. Her name was Evelyn from the Kaeskuche. So I think a couple of you guys remember Adlecker, remember Sternschnuppe, all those fantastic cheeses we have had in the past. And she has had also a cheese, I think she called it Blütenzauber. And we started with that cheese, Jonathan. It's called Lola Montes in the beginning. A kind of a very nice cheese as well. So every cheese from her dairy was very good, very clear, very, very well made. But then she retired. She closed her business. So that means there was no possibility to have this fantastic cheese anymore. And we catched up with her, talked about how you make it. We changed a little bit the recipe as well, for sure. At this point, you took over some things, but on the other hand, it was the right moment to add some flowers, for example, or change some things. And then we go to Albert and says, look here, this is a superstar cheese. We want to make it in your dairy. And this was the beginning of the transaction, so the change from Evelyn to him. And we started to make it in the beginning.
Why are you not bringing up Hubener? Are you afraid to tell him?
So this is because again, Adam, we made always Blossom at Albert's Dairy, but in the beginning with Hubener cheese. So this was my part to bring this cheese from Hubener Dairy to his dairy, where we dressed it up. But for sure, the first 2 years or the first 3 years, it was not his cheese, because again, you remember, he was not able to produce the 6 kilo wheels. He was able only to produce the Alex, which is 25 pound roundabout, and the Alt Blossom is only 16 pound. So again, Adam, this was a kind of the deal. We started to talk in 2016. So this is a story. This is not a decision we made every month. We made something new. This was a plan. This was a plan starting in 16. Yes.
What I'm trying to highlight, Norbert, is the work of the exporter and the importer in terms of product development. In fact, you presented to me flour cheese before 2016. It was very pretty, but it had no flavor. Yeah. And it was only until Lola Montes with Evelyn, who had the most incredible smile I've ever seen in a woman in my life, where we finally found a cheese that tasted as elegant and fantastic as it looked. Because before that, the flour cheese was just pretty but didn't have flavor.
I think this is a good thing. Jonathan can probably tell also something about that. So this was from the Huban dairy, and
So with the Huban dairy, we loved the cheese from Huban.
Yeah.
But like we're slotting Huban in and basically competing with our other cheeses, and so we tried for many years to make Huban successful. We tried it with different. I mean, this is like back in Sarah loved Huban, and we tried different age profiles, and we just couldn't get traction with it. And you, to your credit, figured out why not. When Evelyn stopped, we had to move to Huban, and Albert was able to actually take over the flouring, which was done by hand. I mean, let's be clear here. The process of flouring that cheese is not easy. It is done by hand. I've seen the process myself. And Albert had two amazing women, and that's what they did. Yeah.
Four in total. No.
4 in total. Sorry. And for me, what I love about this story is just like the evolution of
it was
cheese,
a real evolution,
and the work that an exporter and an importer does in relation to the products we work with.
Adam, I think as an exporter in the beginning, you think you buy and sell cheese. So as less influence on making, as less influence on making, aging, as better. But at a certain point, you take something over because it's also talking with you guys, because I'm also limited. So when I come in a cheese shop, I have my range. I say I have Alp Blossom, I have Lola, or I have Alex, I have Bachenstein, whatever. But I don't see what the cheese shop or what the customer needs. So because they have 10 different blue cheese, do they need really a new blue cheese? So this is your knowledge, special Jonathan. So he sees stars. He sees a cheese who probably can be a new star on the sky or not. Or on the other hand, I have the connection to the cheesemaker and know what's possible. I know we can buy this cheese from this dairy, dress it up on the other dairy, but then we have a plan. Probably when the new dairy start, we take Alp Blossom out of his dairy, so we can change the base cheese. So yes, it's a working together. That's it.
So when did Albert officially take over the full production of Alp Blossom, and what is the key difference between Alp Blossom today versus Alp Blossom of yesterday?
I tell you the date, and Albert can tell you the difference. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we changed it last year, 2019, in September.
Okay. And what is the major difference, Albert, between your Alp Blossom and the old Alp Blossom?
Okay. I make the cheese for the Alp Blossom. I have made a recipe for the cheese. Then you give the flour overside from the cheese. The flour can go inside from the cheese. But when it's a little bit too hard, the flour cannot go inside from the cheese. And by my cheese, I make a little bit, can I say this? I make the cheese not in, I give the milk a little bit more time for the cheese. And then the cheese, it's a little bit softer, a little bit creamy. And the flavor from the flowers can go inside from the cheese.
Got it.
I make the cheese for the flour, not the flour for the cheese.
I love it. I make the cheese for the flowers. That's a fantastic way of looking at it. Also, what about the treatment of the milk? Is it raw or pasteurized?
It's raw. It's thermized.
Thermalized. So I think this is just an important difference also. Right. It's considered raw milk versus what we were making. And please correct me if I'm wrong, it was a pasteurized cheese.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's talk about another cheese that I really like from Albert, which is Lisa. Tell us a little bit about Lisa.
Lisa, it's the young Alex, and Lisa, it's a little bit. We make Lisa a little bit creamy and a little bit softer, and this is the special cheese from the children and from I say it's a wife cheese.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's not very politically correct, but it's okay.
In the United States, yes.
In the United States. And
then, Lisa, it's the name. It's love and creamy.
And then what about with the ramps? What made you decide to put ramps in cheese?
Yes, we have with ramps with white garlic, and with Italian style we have with Norbert, help me, Boxenklek.
Fenugreek.
Fenugreek, yes.
And which one's your favorite?
The favorite, Erlauch.
Rams. Yeah.
Rams.
What is ramps native? Is ramps native to where you live? Are the ramps something? Where do you get the ramps?
I have it every day at the moment. Every day on butter, cooking, salad. So this is something happened in spring. It's all over on the market. Everybody wants to have it. It's in the cheese. This is for 4 months, 5 months. The add-on thing ever. Yes.
We have in around 20 kilometers to Rams.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I must admit that I am a bit of a traditionalist and don't necessarily promote, or ever thought I'd sell an ingredient cheese. But when I tried your ingredient cheese, it was exquisite. The ramps really don't necessarily overtake the cheese, but like really kind of play with the cheese in a way that feels like as we like to say, volmondig. It's like a full mouth experience, and it's like multi-dimensional in terms of the flavor. Let's talk a little bit, if we may, about Norbert, Chiriboga and the evolution of Chiriboga and where it came from and where it's going.
Yeah, it came from cheesemakers born in Ecuador. His name is Arturo Chiriboga, and he make apprenticeship in the French part of Switzerland, going back to Ecuador. Worked there for his family. This was a part of farming and cheese making, and then he fell in love with a girl from Germany, and she comes special from the Allgäu. And 30 years ago, they moved with the children completely back to the Allgäu. Then he started to make cheese at the Obere Mühle, at the Hofkäserei Obere Mühle. But everybody of you guys were there. There's much more than Chiriboga. He wants to do everything by himself. So all the soft cheese, the semi-hard cheese, goat cheese.
How many cheeses do you think he was making?
But what do you think? I think 20 stars minimum. 20 stars minimum.
20.
Yes.
And the production level was like how many wheels of cheese per? How many production wheels of cheese were there per style? Yeah.
He do a lot of 250 gram, which is around about half a pound cheeses, a small one. He do a kind of mozzarella, fresh cheese. He do the Sender case, which is the same size, around about Albert's cheeses have, the 6 kilo, 15-pound cheeses.
So he made a bunch of cheese. I mean, this guy really liked to play with milk. So Albert, you spoke earlier about how you wanted to play with the milk and you wanted to play with the cheese. How would you describe Arturo Chiriboga in terms of being a cheesemaker? Because for example, I watched Star Wars, the movie, and he's like the Yoda of cheese making. And you're like Chewbacca, but that's beside the point. in seriousness, Albert, what is your opinion of Arturo Chiriboga as a cheesemaker?
Norbert, kurz übersetzen?
Ja, was ist deine Meinung über Arturo? Er meint, dass der Superstar ist. Ja.
Was heißt ein Hexenmeister?
Oh, a witch master. For him, he's a witch master.
Witch master. Okay, you might want to elaborate a little bit, Norbert, for us on that. I've never heard that term before. So, what is a witch master? Fascinating.
So that means he plays in a lot of fats. He plays. So when Albert say, I think he wants to say, when he says I want to play with cheese, I want not only to make Alex, I want to make different one. Albert thinks about 4 styles, and Arturo thinks about 20. So probably this is the difference. So that means Arturo is more or less, I don't want to say more crazy, but more. He wants to make everything by himself. But Adam, you have to see, this is a different model of a dairy. So the Hofkäserei Obere Mühle, Bad Hindelang, this is small. He has the small fats. He can buy milk from a source. He don't have to take every day the same milk he can buy or not. He can produce or not. So when he have a demand on cheese, he buys milk, produce it, and that, so he can make every day. He can make a different style. So this is a little bit different. This is a real playground. Albert has he's still flexible. Special when you look in his dairy, it's not only one big fat. It's still 3 of them. So he is still flexible enough to do 3 different styles of cheese every day, or doing more every day of one style. So it's really, really flexible. It's very clever, but Obere Mühle is different. So again, Albert has around about 7,000 liter a day, and Arturo maximum 500.
So that's
different.
Yeah, that's drastically different. First of all, what was the original name of Chiriboga?
Bayerischer Blauschimmelkäse.
I'm sorry. There's something. Sounds like something got caught in your throat. What was the original way of saying?
Bayerischer Blauschimmelkäse.
Right. So that's a mouthful. And I'm just highlighting that that's another example of what we do as importers and exporters, and figuring out that with that type of name, we were noticing very difficult, not difficult because the cheese is very easy to sell, but we changed the name because we thought it would be more easy for people to communicate about the cheese. When we first started working with that cheese, how many wheels were being made? How many wheels were you buying and selling to me?
Yeah, very, very few. So 10 to 20 every month. That's it from in the beginning. Yeah.
And now now, how does Chiriboga play into Albert and his dairy?
Yeah. So Arturo Chiriboga comes twice a week. Mostly, I think Albert mostly Wednesday and Saturday.
Yes.
So to make the blue cheese, and he took over all the molds and everything from the Obere Mühle to Albert. So this is funny. He would not be able to produce Chiriboga Blue or Bayerischer Blauschimmel still at Bad Hindelang at the Obere Mühle. So he moved everything to Albert. So, but you still can buy it at the Obere Mühle. So he takes batches back to the Romoser place where it's still in the shop, where you still can buy it. So, but it was, we talked about quantity of milk. We talked about that Albert's dairy is brand new, but we have to talk about the quantity of Obere Mühle. And this is a dairy which is new, or which is not old, which is still okay, which is safe, which is FDA conformed, by the way. But when you are producing cheese, different style of cheese in a narrow situation, and you have the Roquefort all over the place, you have it, especially in summer, you have it in all the other cheeses as well. So that means when we guys pushed him to make more and more Chiriboga Blue, Chiriboga Blue, Chiriboga Blue, he runs more and more trouble with all the other cheeses he produced.
Yeah.
And this was also starting in 2016, when he says, when we don't find a solution, probably he has to stop exporting cheese. He has to stop exporting Chiriboga Blue. He wants to go back to make a minimum quantity for his own shop. That's it, because the spores are all over. And Albert, you remember we said to him, please wait till Albert is ready, a brand new dairy. It's big enough. We can separate the production. We make it clean. We make it different. And again, I think in August 2016, a lot of commitments, a lot of plans, a lot of things we discussed and we decided. And this is what we are now in 2020, 4 years ago. And by the way, this is the cheese life, the cheese exporting, importing. You guys know that it's not a matter of what's next month. This is sometimes a planning for months, for decades, for years. Because again, cheese also has to age a certain time, and everything has to be produced, has to be planned, has to be scheduled. This is not a business who is decided and done next day.
Yes, very much so. Can we just talk real quick about Albert's milk source? Where does Albert get his milk from?
If I can jump in just real quick, Norbert, I think what Adam is asking is what race is the cow?
Yes, I see.
Albert, where do you get your milk from?
From I have three farmers, and my brother and two friends. All farmers have brown Swiss. It's very important for me. But this is, I think, that's the best milk from the cheese.
How many cow do each have? How many cow in the herd? How many cows are in the herd? How many cows does your brother have and your two friends?
My brother have 45, and the two farmers have the same. It's not more of 50 cows.
And how close do the farmers live to your dairy? 1 kilometer, half a kilometer?
No, my brother in the same city, and the two friends. One is 2 kilometers, and the second is 4 kilometers, 3.5 kilometers.
Okay, and you've known how long? And these friends, you know them a long time. You've been friends for a long time, or is new friendship?
My school friends.
Fantastic, I love it.
And this is very important for me. He's farmer, and my friends he wissen. He was what I will for the milk. I will a big standard, a higher standard from the milk and from the cow.
They know what they have to deliver. Yes.
What do you feed the cows? Are they on pasture? Are they on hay? Are they on silage?
Hay and grass. In the winter, hay, and the summer, grass.
Does your father still work at your brother? Because your brother's farm was your father's farm.
Yes.
And so does your father still work on the farm?
Norbert, please.
Ob dein Vater noch beim Bruder mitschafft?
Yeah. My father is 85 years. And he works in the last year, he works not by my father, by my brother. You have a little bit problem with the Hüfte?
Oh, with the legs, yeah.
Yeah, with the legs. Yes.
Yeah, because last time I visited you, your father was working. Like he was actually like raking the hay and feeding the cows.
Yes,
which
but
blew my mind.
in the last half year, it's a little bit difficult with him. We have a little bit problem.
Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. Let's. I want to clarify. You said earlier that you like to play with different types of fat. Do you mean fat or vat? Fat or vat?
Norbert?
I will explain him. Wenn du sagst, du spielst du mit verschiedenen Kesseln, also Fett, der Kessel oder Fett vom Fettgehalt. Mit was spielst du lieber?
Ja, mit den Kesseln, mit Fett.
Yeah.
Fat.
We have all the same fat, all the same. I have no centrifuge. When I have the milk from the farmers, I don't in Drama, Norbert, in Dramen.
Skim the milk.
Skim the milk. I don't skim the milk.
It's full fat.
Full fat. Full
Only
fat.
full fat.
Got it.
For me, very important. I have the milk, and this milk make for the cheese. And then I can play in my 3 places, in my 3 fats.
Got it.
And this fats I can make a Alex, and this can blue cheese, as a cherry boga, or I can make it another Altblossom, or with rams. I make not the same cheese with Altblossom. I make another cheese with the rams.
Yeah.
It's not the same cheese.
Understood. So tell me about how many times have you visited the United States?
Norbert?
Wie oft warst du in den USA?
From the cheese or for Colombia? 2.
And,
For 4 years, and in this year.
And in
how
total?
how has that changed? What was your experience 4 years ago, and how was your experience this past year?
Der Unterschied. Die Erfahrung.
Wait, let me be more clear. When you came here 4 years ago, did you speak English?
A little bit. And now a little bit more.
God, you didn't speak English. You didn't speak any English. It was incredible. He was hanging out in our booth.
I have talked with you. Well, what you want from me? I will learn English for you, or I can make more cheese for you.
You did both. You did both. What is your feeling about the U.S. market? You were here last January. You traveled. What did you see, and how do you feel about the cheese business in America?
And for 4 years, I come to New York. It was the first step in New York for me. It was a big city, and I see what you, Adam, do with my cheese in this big city. It was very, and now I can go with Norbert to California and see what the small cheese market make with my cheese. And all people say, wow, that's Alex, that's Altblossom from my diary. And the people have a fascination from my cheese. And it's very important for me what the people say. And all people say, hey, it's a great cheese. It's a very good taste. And it's the Norbert, wie sagt man, die Rückmeldung von den Personen.
Feedback was great.
Feedback, sorry, my English. The feedback, it was very good in this trip in California, where we can with many people can talk, and many people have say die Meinung.
That their experience, their meaning about your cheese, yeah.
of my cheese.
So when you became a cheesemaker, you wanted to work with your hands, and when you decide what type of cheese to make, you wanted to make a cheese that was different than from the other cheesemakers from where you come from? And how does it, have you accomplished your goal? Do you feel like you do what you dream to do? And what is your next dreams? What is your next goal?
My next dream. My dream is I will step by step a higher quality. It's many steps, but I will make, for me it's the next step. It's Norbert, can you help me? The mix it, 2 cheeses mix it.
Oh, okay. You talk about Alpen cheddar.
Yeah, that's
Yes. Two different. Yes.
That's a new place.
Yes, that's a new category. That's so cool. Yes. Yeah.
And
That's like a bit of a secret project. You wanna quickly say what that is?
You ask me or you ask Albert? I think I will start what it is. So first of all, Albert, he has a customer in Memmingen. This is the city where I live, by the way. Steiger. He runs a marketplace, and Albert produced for him since 5 years, 6 years, I don't know, a longer time. 18 years to produce a mix of Parmigiano Reggiano. He put in the curd when he makes Lisa. So this is the experience he do for a longer time, but with an Italian style of cheese. I don't recall the name, but because it's silly, but it doesn't matter. This kind of cheese making is an idea of a customer slash friend of Albert and him for years. And Tom Sheffield from Quicks, from UK, from Devon, the cheddar producer Quicks, he was visiting us 2018. And then we go through the cellar, through all the cheeses, and Albert plucked some different cheeses. He wants to try this cheese, that cheese, this cheese, that cheese. And Tom, there is a curiosity. And then he plucked the cheese for us. This was the mix of 3-month-old Lisa with 24-month-old Parmigiano Reggiano. And this was mind-blowing for all of us. And 1 year later, probably Quicks have had enough cooking cheese, who knows? Tom comes back to me with this idea. Do Albert be interested to make cheese with our cheddar in the same way, in the same style? And I said, yes, why not? Let's try it. And then we made the first 2 wheels. Albert, I think it was in September. And we tried it the first time in December. And our expectation was, I don't know, it was because the Parmigiano was so good, it was very low, but at the moment we tried it, it blows up our mind. It's so good, it's so different. It makes a young cheese so adult with all the ingredients on, and you still can taste the cheddar style or the cheddar part as well as the Lisa part. For us, it's a new project, and and this is what he started to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, so for all the people watching, just to clarify, they're talking about putting cheese in cheese.
Yes,
grated
cheese. Yes,
it's actual cheese into cheese. It's like literally like a Frankenstein style cheese. It's not like anything. It's as Janae said, the turducken of cheese. Let's I feel like I've kind of like hogged the spotlight in terms of questions. Does anybody on the Zoom or anybody in Facebook land have any questions that they'd like to ask Albert or Norbert?
We got a couple questions on Facebook, mostly pertaining to Norbert's background. They love your sticker, and people want to know when it's going to be available in T-shirt form, and also when will it be available in face mask form.
A t-shirt probably at the next CMI in the United States. I don't know when it happens.
I know.
Me either.
I did get a question earlier, Norbert, about some of the newer cheeses that we're playing around with. We posted earlier in the week a picture of Good Mood, and somebody asked if you could talk a little bit about Good Mood and what that flavor profile reminds you of.
Yeah. So first of all, this dairy, it's a bio dairy or organic dairy from our region. So this guy, it's a cooperative. And by the way, Albert brought me to this guys. So I don't know them from the beginning. So he thought about look there because they have interesting cheeses. Because they don't have rounds. They have a lot. They have squares. This is different, as well as the size is different, and as well as the cheese making is different. And then I was there, looked at the cheeses. Wow, they're good. It's a really brilliant concept behind them. The farmers are really looking about the animal treatment. This is so important, guys, at the moment. When we look on the coronavirus and know how it probably came out of misunderstanding to treat animals to get a virus out of very crazy recipes or slaughtering animals. So we have to really treat animals, and this is what they are doing extremely at their farm. And this is first of all what I really appreciated. And then the cheese. So it's a good cheese. It's different. It's new. It's a square. And then we realized the herbs at the outside of the Good Mood. And then I always thought, I know this taste of these herbs. And then we catched up. I asked them, what is the brand? What are you using for that herbs? And then we find it out, this is the same base of herbs we use for our blossom. Because when we made our blossom, we put a little bit herbs on the rind before we put the flowers on it. And this is exactly the same herbs from the same brand. So it's more or less our blossom without the petals.
Nice. Any other questions? Johnny, did I miss? Go ahead.
I would love to turn it over to our retail guest who we have with us today and check in with Stevie Kinast, who is down in New Orleans from St. James. Stevie, how are you doing down there? Get you unmuted.
Right. Richard just walked away, but he'll be right back. We reduced our hours of operation. We're now closed on Sundays. We shut down. We have 2 locations in New Orleans, and we shut down one of the shops. And we have reduced staffing right now. We had some voluntary furloughs, and we're working with everybody to make sure that everybody feels safe, that they have the hours they need, helping with different sorts of compensation, unemployment type stuff as well.
Hi, Richard.
Hello, Adam.
I like your t-shirt. I don't understand it. How you holding up, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. I just treated myself to a couple days off, so I'm feeling refreshed.
Don't you live? How does a day off look? What does a day off look like for you?
Kind of a lot like a day on.
Yeah, I mean, don't you live above the shop?
I live above the shop, so the work-life separation thing has been a real challenge during all of this because you know, I mean, it's always a little bit hard to take your eyes off your own business. You know, it's just always on your mind. But like when you're in the middle of trying to reinvent your business model from scratch in like, you know, a 2-week period, it's doubly so.
So how's that going?
Well, you know, I think we're lucky in a way that you know, selling takeout and that kind of stuff was already part of our business model, you know? I mean, we've always done sandwiches and stuff, carry out. So, you know, that was the easy part, was just kind of transitioning a lot more of our sales to that from people that would otherwise eat in the shop. But, you know, the real hard part is, you know, that was just one part of the business model. You know, our thinking here has always been, how can we turn over cheese as quickly as possible so that we're always selling, you know, fresh and delicious and good stuff, and it's not sitting around for a long time. So we got people like Stevie here who, you know, is working on a wholesale business. Well, that business just kind of evaporated in like 24 hours. You know, I mean, it just totally disappeared. It was crazy. So she's been out, you know, pounding the pavement, trying to find new things. You know, we're doing some sort of virtual tastings, which she's been doing lately, which has been great. We've tried to steer as much as we can to kind of our website, which was always kind of the ugly stepchild of the business. Like, kind of did it, but nobody really wanted to deal with it. And now it's like kind of a main revenue source for us, trying to sell stuff on the website. So, you know, Stevie's trying to help Danielle, my wife and partner, run that business, which is, you know, has its own challenges. You know, it's every day there's been something, up until a couple of days ago when we finally figure, like, I think we've done what we could do. So I got out of Dodge.
Nice. Stevie, so it sounds like you're wearing a lot of hats. What I thought are you also the buyer as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how has COVID affected your buying strategy?
It's week by week, day by day. In the, you know, what was it, March 16th, I think, we were thinking, let's put a pause on everything. Let's get through. I moved all of our stable cheeses back to our warehouse, brought everything perishable and soft up to the shop, so that was in everybody's face. And we pushed that out as quickly as possible. We skipped ordering. We were doing leapfrog ordering, so every other week, but we've ordered. So we have a truck coming in on Monday, Tuesday, and hopefully if we can keep this mail order, the few wholesale accounts that are buying, we're focusing on those, but we're keeping the soft and perishable stuff to a minimum, but we want to have product on hand. So if somebody does give us a call, we can be reliable for them and keep them going.
How have your vendors been? Are you noticing, like, the people that you buy from, are they in business? Are they freaking out? Is everything on special, or do they not, like, you know, do they not have things that you're like, what does the vendor side look like to you?
The inventory is a little spotty, but in the same product that I'm, you know, don't necessarily, it's kind of like soft, perishable, small format, soft stuff, is not as readily available as it normally is, but also we don't want to sit on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's not, that's okay. I think everybody's been super helpful. I had calls from all of my vendors the first week, checking in, seeing how things were going, seeing if we were going to keep moving. And, you know, I keep telling them it's day by day. Some specials, we're all working together to get this cheese moving, so. And what about,
Adam, it's been like, you know, it came on so fast, was the crazy thing, that like all of our kind of rhythms, you know, that we always say, well, we order this amount of stuff, you know, every month, or, you know, every 6 weeks or every 2 weeks, whatever it is. All those rhythms just kind of went out the door, you know? And it takes years, I think, for you to get used to just kind of knowing, you know, how much of this you sell and how much of that you sell. And that just went away. When they said, oh, things are going to, you know, go on, you know, stay at home, I think we decided to put everything, all the cheese on sale in the shop, 25% off. I think we did that the same day. We're just like, get the stuff that's going to die out fast, and then we'll just figure out where we stand. And, you know, and now it's just like, you know, we don't really know what to expect. The mayor just told us the other day that we're going to be like this until the middle of May. So, you know, we don't know what to expect. And I think our vendors, I assume, are probably a little bit in the same boat, you know?
We are. we are. What about like from a staffing perspective? Are you like how is that? Like, are people afraid to come to work? Are people coming to work? Are you still sampling? Like how has that all changed for you?
Well, I think we're definitely not sampling anymore, which is a big change. You know, it's always been about, you know, it's like going to an ice cream parlor. We have people come in and it's like this, it's an intimate thing. It's an engagement you make with people. I think that's what makes cheese mongering just kind of a cool thing. It's like this conversation. And we don't have that anymore. You know, if anything, you know, you gotta put it into words over the phone, which is just a different situation. So, you know, we had a lot of staff that said, you know, I've got either family they want to take care of or they just don't feel comfortable being at work. You know, we kind of gave everyone the option. If you want to work, we'll try and find a way to fit you in the schedule. And if you don't, you know, we'll let you know when we need you, kind of thing. So but you know, right now we got a good group of people that are coming in and doing a great job and working hard and trying to adapt the way they're used to selling things and doing it a little bit differently. I think it's been fun in a way too, because a lot of folks now, you know, customers are so accommodating in a way, they're just glad we're open. So they'll call them and say, I want to get some cheese, and just pick, here's how much I'm going to spend, you just pick me out, you know, 5 of your favorite cheeses. And that's great because
Monger's choice.
You know, I mean, it's Monger's choice, exactly. And I mean, you know, what Monger doesn't love doing that?
Totally agree. You have anything you want to, you know, get off your chest, or, you know, let us know or say out loud? Or
I mean, there's a lot of things I want to get off my chest, but I probably better not say them out loud. No, you know, I listen, I tell you, Adam, and I haven't talked to a lot of other folks around, but I know, you know, our story is the same as a lot of folks. And, you know, I think the hardest thing is this kind of adapting to such intense and dramatic and forced change. But, you know, hopefully we'll all learn something from it. And 2 months, 3 months now, 5 months from now, we can look back on it and say we're stronger for it, and, you know, hopefully made it through it and find a way to adapt. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say too, the New Orleans kind of culinary community is really coming together and supporting each other, which, you know, we're a part of. There's a lot of restaurants that are doing family meal programs where they cook additional food, and people in the service industry that are out of work can come pick up a free meal, and we've been donating some of our perishable stuff to them. So I think in addition to, you know, we're figuring out all of these different facets of our own business, such as mail order, beefing up the carry-out delivery options, we're also coming together as a community and really supporting each other. I think that everybody's kind of looking out for each other, which is one great thing about New Orleans. I'm sure.
It's what I've been saying is that, like, in this crazy time, people's true colors are showing. And some colors are fantastic and beautiful, and some colors are doo-doo brown. But it's really good to hear that, like, I mean, the New Orleans has a great spirit. So you guys, you know, and you're sadly, New Orleans knows adversity. So this is just another crazy, crazy thing. There's some solace in that, like, we're all going through it, right? Like, that's what's, I think, really weird, unique, and special about this time, is that, like, this is like an international catastrophe. So there's some comfort in that.
And slow motion, but so sudden too. Like tomorrow, the rules could change completely. And yet day to day, it's just like each day you're just like, oh, when are we going to get through it? But, you know, you just keep plodding along, pushing forward.
Couldn't agree more. Stay off that clickbait, Richard. Stay off that clickbait.
Who told you?
The Facebook told me. Thank you guys for your time and attention. Norbert, Albert, you got anything you want to get off your chest before we close this up? Doug, Johnny, you got anything you want to get off your chest before we close this up?
I have one more question for Norbert that just got submitted. Norbert, you touched on Arturo working with some goat's milk for a cheese or two. Can you talk a little more about his goat's milk cheeses for us?
Yeah, it's a wash cheese. He make the Käse. Some of you guys know the Käse with fenugreek. So it's the same washing, it's the same cheese making. So it's the semi-hard cheese, around about 5 kilo, washed with the same brine, 3-month-old, from organic milk. Yeah, comes from Fronten, Eastern Allgäu as well. Yeah.
That's it on the questions ends over here. And just so everyone knows, I'm sure you'll see on Facebook afterwards, but everybody, Norbert, Albert, Richard, Stevie, you guys getting a lot of love. So everybody says to say thanks, stay safe, and along those lines.
Yeah, I just want to say I love you guys. My heart hurts. The stories everywhere are sad. I'll just say, like, thank God for cheese, though, right? That, like, whoever is able to get those bites, like, we're bringing a little bit of happiness. Like, all we have now is just, like, good food to eat. Otherwise, like, life is pretty freaking crazy. So thank you for your service on the front lines. I love you guys, Richard and Stevie. Thank you, Norbert and Albert. You guys are cheese family, and are doing incredible work. Thank you, Doug, for organizing this. Thank you for all of our guests that have been watching. You guys mean the world to me. And stay tuned. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to be having, I don't know who we're having next week. Dougie, who we got next week?
I believe we have Mr. Guy Arpin with us next week, hopefully.
Sweet. All right. Well, so stay tuned and be safe and eat more cheese and don't get the COVID.
Okay.
This is Adam Moskowitz signing off. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.